to my channel. So today's video is going to be kind of a sad one, specifically for my boyfriend and I, or my ex-boyfriend rather. This may come as a shock to some of you guys, especially since I just started this channel less than a month ago for my fiance and I, but Kenny and I decided to call off our engagement and end our 3-year relationship, which to me, even though it was 3 years, it felt like a lifetime. And I mean that in the most beautiful way possible, because with Kenny it feels like I've known him my whole life. Disappointingly, he never got a chance to appear on this channel, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he won't appear in the future. And he said no matter what, he's planning to definitely support this channel and, like, you know, this newfound hobby of mine. So for today's video, I found it fitting that I was wearing on this outfit. This is actually the last outfit that Kenny gave me when I went to visit him in September. It just happens to be my favorite outfit, gifted by him as well. So it's Polo Ralph Lauren, and he gave me like a matching polo bear hat as well. So delving into me and Kenny's relationship, we met initially July 15th, 2017, and it's a date that I will never forget, specifically because I have it right here. Some of my friends asked whether I would regret getting, you know, our anniversary date tattooed on my wrist should we ever break up, and I don't see myself ever really regretting any part or decision that has been made in this relationship, because for me this tattoo doesn't only signify the day that we met, but it signifies the first time in my life that I feel like I met someone that I thought was worthy of my proposal. In previous comments that I've seen on my past 2 YouTube videos, I did see people say they were curious about how me and Kenny met. So me and Kenny actually met through Tinder. Yeah, we met through Tinder, surprisingly enough. When it came to dating apps, Jacked or Jack D was always like my holy grail, I guess. Being in the dating scene for so long, facing rejection and being ghosted, it just becomes discouraging after a while, to the point where it starts feeling numb and you just don't really care anymore. Even though I grew to hate dating apps, I feel like I'll always be thankful for apps like Tinder or Jacked, just dating apps in general, because I feel like it gave me the opportunity to actually meet someone in my life that's such an amazing man, even if things didn't work out in the end. But I definitely do dread, you know, putting myself out there, going back on these apps, and just dealing with all these thirsty hoes. No, I'm just kidding. But joking aside, me and Kenny's first date, he picked me up from my apartment in Long Beach, and he took me to Koreatown in Los Angeles. We bonded over our mutual interests, specifically like K-pop, anime, and Overwatch. I remember we went to like a food court together, and I remember getting like the katsudon rice dish, and he got like jjajangmyeon, I think. He always gets the same thing whenever we go. I feel like things just felt a lot more simple back then. On our first date, we ended it kind of early, and when we went back to his car, the battery was basically dead, or his car just wouldn't start up. I don't really know much about cars, so... But a date that was originally supposed to end early ended up lasting the whole day. We took his car to the mechanic, and I feel like it was at this point that we really got to like bond and like get to know each other a lot more, and I feel like it was at this point that our love pretty much blossomed. And like for me, I can honestly say it was definitely the most memorable first date I think I've ever had. On our second date, I remember getting him this cute little guy. His name is Pengi. I think considering it was like our second date, it was very like random and spontaneous, but I don't think me and him realized that this small gesture would kind of start our little stuffed animal family that we've accumulated over the years. So this is Chubby, and this is Whiskey. I'm sure you guys don't care about that. I think a lot of people would find it kind of silly, but for us, it was just kind of our thing. Throughout our relationship, we had a lot of great memories that honestly got me through some of the hardest points of my life. I think the first big memory I really have with him was going to Disneyland on our 5-month anniversary. You know, it's Disneyland, it was magical, and considering we were only together for 5 months, it was a pretty grand gesture.
These expensive, these is red, these is buddy shoes, hey, I don't dance now, I make money.
Shortly after that, we spent our first New Year's together as a couple. I remember him trying his best to stay awake until midnight and failing. We did what all couples do. We counted down, kissed at midnight, and, you know, took a lot of silly videos leading up to the countdown. Here. We've gotten dressed up and went to a friend's wedding together. We loved each other deeply, and we still do. We made amazing memories when he came to Boston. We went to New York together, and we got to check out the Nintendo store, which was always like a dream for him. And I think most of all, like, the happiest thing in our relationship was when he said yes when I asked him to be my fiance. I was wondering if you would be my fiance.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I do.
You do? Now give me your finger.
This is your ring.
It's our ring. Now look at my phone camera.
Oh my god. You recorded it, didn't you?
Oh no, sorry. Now I'm getting like a little emotional talking about it. So we lived together temporarily. Stinky. Cooking for me. Smile. Yeah, we lived together temporarily leading up to the day that I ended up moving back to Boston. And I just remember crying so much like the night before I left. But like, even though long distance was so hard, like every time we visited each other, it just felt so like magical, if that makes sense. And yeah, you know, throughout our relationship we had a lot of like memorable and silly moments that I'll always hold like very near and dear to my heart. Face that way. Ah, but you're supposed to stand where I am.
Wait.
Just do it. Come on.
Face. Oh.
Hey. My camera's looking at us. Oh my god, you be the idiot.
You see nothing. The second time around. The second time around, he said, make sure it ain't our snows. Our chicken running. All up in your face, bitch.
I didn't mean to get all emotional and you know, fucked up, I guess. Me and Kenny's relationship was really beautiful, and it still is. It will always be one of, if not like, you know, the happiest moment of my life. But after talking about it more in depth with him, we both just agreed that maybe it just wasn't the right time. If it's meant to happen, fate will eventually bring us back together. We spoke about our goals and expectations for our long distance relationship before I moved back to Boston, and I think we began realizing that we were just getting further and further from our own goals. We just realized we were both going down different paths as we began discovering more about ourselves and our own interests. We spoke about where we are now compared to 3 years ago, and I think we realized that we just grew up and, you know, branched out in different paths. But I mean that in the most beautiful way possible. I think our love for one another became platonic more than romantic, but like no matter what, I'm just so happy and grateful that we've both grown so much from this relationship, and you know, we'll always have a best friend in each other. Kenny said it was okay for me to make this video. He kind of encouraged me to as well, because I think the message is that sometimes things just don't work out, and there's nothing wrong with that. As sad as this is, I think we both realized that we were merely living in the memories of our relationship. In our case, I'm glad that we both managed to get closure, which is something that I think a lot of relationships sometimes don't manage to get. But I just wanted to say this, Kenny, I've told you this so many times in our relationship, but I love you to the moon and back. I never want you to forget that. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I just wanted to say thank you to all my friends, family, I guess my little amount of followers that were rooting for us. Yeah, tune in for my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you out.